And aside from one very tame lovemaking scene, the nudity is pretty basic. A lot of boobies though. All right, hello. Today we are revisiting World Tree Volume 1 Terminal. So I already made a review about Volume 1, but it was kind of useless. And since I revisited Volume 1 when I got Volume 2, I decided, you know what, let's redo this review. So let's get to it. World Tree Volume 1 Terminal. This is a horror thriller by James Tynion IV and Fernando Blanco. It was published by Image Comics and released in November 2023. The cover blurb reads, in 1999, Gabriel and his friends discovered the Undernet, a secret architecture to the internet. They charted their exploration on a message board called World Tree. Then they lost control. Someone broke into World Tree, someone who welcomed the violent hold the Undernet had on them. Personal cost, Gabriel and the others thought they sealed the Undernet away for good. They were wrong. And now the whole world will know the meaning of fear. Fear is spelled PH34R, and that is Leet Speak. Volume 1 covers issues 1 through 5 and is rated M for mature. So Volume 1 shows us 3 timelines, 1999, the present day, and the future, 2049. The main story is present day, and it introduces the main characters, establishes some mystery, and uses flashbacks to give context to the whole story, but it also teases like a catastrophic future. It's kind of the classic formula. People who drifted apart are pulled back together by a dangerous secret from their past, and now they have to work together to stop a catastrophic future. We even get the old flames hooking up after decades apart trope. We got adventure, murder, suspects, suspense, romance. You know, it's really well-rounded, and we love these stories. As a bonus, the love interests in the story are portrayed really realistic and kind of awkward, which makes it kind of funny and relatable, which I absolutely love. I kind of hate cliche romance, so this is good. It's funny and awkward and relatable. So our core antagonist is basically the evil influence of the Undernet, which is a hidden sub-basement of the internet, and it makes people who experience it get possessed and do vile, horrible things. With modern day access to the internet and how rapidly anything can really become viral, especially with like social media, live streaming, etc., when the Undernet influence is like set free into the real world internet, it has a devastating impact, and it works by exposure. So like if you look at any device with internet or Wi-Fi that shows the Undernet or a screen of the Undernet, you'll essentially get possessed and compelled to share the influence. Our primary villain so far is this super buff, tattooed, naked Yolandi Visser lookalike, and here she is right here. And she makes a point to intentionally be naked, almost as if nudity has a way of granting her the power to kill, or she has to be naked in order to do what she's doing. I don't really know anything about that. That's interesting. I think it's just an excuse for the artist to draw a hot naked lady, which is totally fair. She's an agent for the Undernet, and she appears to be the grown-up version of the kid sister of one of the main characters, Gabriel Winter. She helps influence the very first spree killer spawned by the internet, or the Undernet, Gibson Lane, and his appearance is short but integral to the story. Gabriel Winter is a tech mogul in Palo Alto, and kind of like the leader of the 1999 World Tree gang. He brings everybody back together, and pretty easily, because he's a billionaire and he has like super elite access to everybody's personal information and like private jets. By the end of the volume, the underworld has influenced hundreds, maybe even thousands of people around the globe, and even more have been murdered. And the only way to stop the abrupt influence is to shut off the entire internet. Which basically puts the planet into a total blackout. If you take a moment to really understand how much of the world is connected and reliant on the internet, and how it's like so deeply woven into our everyday routines. If the internet was completely cut off, like just killed entirely, there would be devastating effects to modern society. And that's the cliffhanger we're left with in Volume 1. The truth is on w0rldtr33.net. So one thing I especially love about this series is the use of early message board leet speak, which is a typing style from the 80s and 90s that swapped letters for numbers and similar looking symbols. It originated in early hacker and gamer culture, and while it was partly to avoid early automated detection systems, it also kind of served as a way for hackers and gamers to kind of identify each other in their social circles. So its use here isn't really just a cliche style choice, it actually helps frame the origin story, so that's really cool. I also didn't realize until I revisited the comics that the cover of issue 2, the license plate says fear, and that was neat. There's plenty of gore and nudity to earn its mature rating, so it's not for the more conservative readers. That said, the gore isn't super in-depth. It's mostly shown in brief panels and flashes for context. And aside from one very tame lovemaking scene, the nudity is pretty basic. A lot of boobies though. This first volume, issues 1 through 5, is primarily about world building. We got introductions to timelines, characters, and the rules of the digital infection. It ends on a sharp cliffhanger. And while the antagonist's true identity and motives are still murky, the ride is fast, violent, and entertaining enough that I was already looking to get volume 2. Character development is still fairly light, but the setup promises bigger payoffs down the line. It's, it really just is the pilot of what's to come. As for the art, I really dig the monochromatic color work. It sets the mood perfectly. That said, some of the darker scenes are a bit tough to read on the glossy pages, which feels more like a format issue rather than an artistic issue. There are a lot of subtle visual effects tied to the undernet, like graphic glitches and distortions that help immerse the reader in the digital horror. And it's not just the characters that are affected, the entire panel glitches, so it's like involving the reader's perception as well. Very cool touch. I really loved that artistic aspect. That's a detail that I also really only fully appreciated on my second read through, so I'm giving it a big thumbs up for rereadability. Kind of like certain movies and TV shows get better the second time you watch them because you start picking up on things that you might have missed before, and this definitely has that kind of quality. So the verdict is, if you're into cyberpunk, sci-fi, mysteries, and stories where the internet literally wants to kill you, this is absolutely worth checking out. It's a super fun read. The storytelling is sharp. The art is excellent. I liked it so much that it ended up being the very first comic book that I decided to review. I'm not personally familiar with James Tynion's work, so this is my first introduction to him, but I hear he's pretty good and he has good depth. So I'm expecting a lot more juicy story to come. I would definitely suggest giving it a read. And if you're with me this far and want to know how to access w0rldtr33.net, the password is in the front cover of the book. I will see you next time for volume 2.